Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome once again to the J Moore Tech Talk Show. That means it's Friday. It is August 28th. It is the last Friday in August in 2026, and it's so great to have you here with me on this wonderful Friday. If this is the very first time you're joining me, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you, and of course, I want to say the words welcome. If you've been here one time, 5 times, 10, 100, or even more, I'd like to say not only thank you and welcome, but I'd like to say the words welcome back. You are very welcome here, and I thank you so much for choosing to be part of this great experience where you can learn about technology, some of the technology that, yes, the tech does not want you to see. Let's get into that. But before we do, if you would like something such as perhaps a juice or some fruit or soda or other beverage or snack, feel free to grab that. And come on back to the show, guys. And don't forget to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations, which you can do 24 hours a day. Do that after the show is over. All right, guys? Really appreciate that after the show is over. So really do appreciate that. All right, guys. So this episode is the tech they don't want you to see. And I've got a lot, I mean a lot to share with you guys. A lot. So it is Series 5. It's show number 36. Welcome, everyone, to the ever-popular J Moore Tech Talk Show. I am John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student at Montclair State University, and a passionate lifelong learner, and now so grateful to be a published author. So today, I'm looking at 14 technology stories that prove the most important part of a device is not always what you can see. We're talking connected cars, AI decisions, credit cards, security, smart glasses, wearables, surveillance cameras, Windows 11, AI in education, delivery drones, trackers, printers, private browsing, and even theft of your own mobile phone number. So are you guys ready? I know I am. Let's get into this. These are the things that hopefully give you the insights to live a better life and to be more protected and more confident. So let's jump right in. So Acura sent me a letter recently saying they're removing some features. Yes. Basically, after some privacy fines, connected cars are becoming computers on wheels. And that means privacy is part of the driving experience. So Acura is removing app features after a privacy fine raises a bigger question. When a feature depends on software and cloud services, do you really own it forever? Consumers need to know what data a vehicle collects, where it goes, and which features can change after purchase. Convenience is great, but ownership gets complicated when software controls part of the experience. So let's just talk about this because I think this is a real loaded cannon here. So, you buy a car and you expect it to have all these great features. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, the manufacturers decide that they're going to stop these features. So I got this letter through email on the 21st. And so it says, Dear John, we're writing to share an important update about your AcuraLink app experience. Starting September 23rd, the following features under parental controls in your app will no longer be available. Geofence alert, speed alert, activity alert. All other features included in your remote package will continue to remain available. Well, gee, thanks. We're making this change to help simplify the app experience and ensure that we continue to deliver a consistent and reliable connected services experience. Your remote package subscription or trial. If you are currently on a remote package trial, these features will end on September 23rd. If you have an active remote package paid subscription, these features will also end on September 23rd. You may choose to cancel your subscription and receive a prorated refund in accordance with your applicable terms of use. To review the applicable terms, of course, you can click on, basically it says visit my garage and select your vehicle. So when you click on visit my garage, which is basically what they call it, and your garage is basically kind of the link into their e-portal. That's basically what it is. And yeah, so that's how that works. So the real catch is they say it's because of quote unquote convenience and to give us a better experience. That's a bunch of hogwash. Okay. I've done some studying on this. Okay. And what I found out, and I think this is going to kind of, blow you away, that Acura, yes, Acura, is in a lawsuit right now. Yes, there is a lawsuit. And it's very funny that they decided to just stop these things with now the lawsuit being underway. So this is interesting. So the active litigation against American Honda includes a class action lawsuit currently on appeal in the Ninth Circuit of McDougall versus the American Honda Motor Company, number 26-3888, if you want to check the docket. However, I can't verify the lawsuit is the reason specifically, but I have to say to you, the fact that they just did this out of the blue and gave me some nonsense about convenience, that's just hogwash. So Acura's email did not mention litigation, a settlement, a court order. Of course they didn't. So there's an interesting privacy angle, though. Acura's own terms acknowledge that AcuraLink can involve vehicle location and other vehicle information, and its current app privacy disclosures include precise location data. So this is interesting. I would not say right now that they have removed these because of the lawsuit. Can I speculate? Sure. We need specifics. Digging a little bit deeper, the lawsuit is for $632,000 based on a privacy action that may have triggered Acura's Honda to kill these features. I can't say that verbatim, right? But there's a pretty good notion that it could be. I can't say it's factual, but why else would they do this? I mean, I'm just curious, guys. All right. So interesting. Number 2, AI suspending Uber drivers in the Netherlands. So imagine opening an app you depend on for income and finding out an automated system suspended you. AI can process huge amounts of information quickly, but when technology affects someone's livelihood, there has to be accountability. Yes? No? People should understand why a major decision was made and have a real way to challenge it. Automation should assist judgment, not eliminate responsibility. I think that's the problem with a lot of our technology. It's being used to circumvent humans, and that is a serious problem, guys. It's something that I think we're all wrestling with, and it's this whole power struggle, right? So that's a big one. And so, the fact that this is going on is crazy. So technology can help make decisions. My question is, would you let AI decide whether you keep your job, right? I'm just curious. Of course, the answer would be no, you don't want it to decide that. But I think a lot of people are starting to realize that AI is making decisions. So AI, I don't know if you guys know this, but AI at Amazon, you know what it does? You'll be very shocked. Yes, it does something very interesting. AI at Amazon has what they call this algorithmic automated system to evaluate and deactivate Amazon Flex drivers. So Amazon is now eliminating substantial numbers of corporate positions while increasing its use of AI, which happened in January of 2026. Amazon officially announced approximately 16,000 jobs reduced, just gone. Following another large reduction previously in late 2025, Amazon also cut positions within its AGI organization in July 2026. So Amazon is cutting jobs as AI changes its workforce. Amazon uses automated systems that can effectively fire flex drivers. But Amazon has an AI that autonomously decides to fire its regular employees would be saying something strong, and there isn't evidence of that, but I wouldn't rule it out. I would not rule out that they have it. I can't say for sure that they have it, but I just wouldn't rule it out. I really would not rule it out, just being honest. Number 3, guys, your expired credit card. Yes, your expired credit card. Potentially, ladies and gentlemen, potentially is revivable. Yeah, it's revivable. And I think that's a very important thing for us to realize, is that it is revivable. And so what do? Well, I think we have to deal with a big issue. So, when cards are dead, supposedly they can't be used anymore, right? But it could become a big problem. So researchers have demonstrated situations where some expired contactless cards could potentially still be used in unauthorized transactions. Most people assume expired means dead. Technology does not always work that simply. Payment systems depend on card, terminal, network, bank, and validation rules all working together. When replacing a card, do not casually toss the old one away, destroy it properly. So the question that a lot of people are having right now, if my credit card is expired, can it still be used, and how? That is really the big multi-million-dollar question. The main reason is automatic card updating. Visa, MasterCard systems, they operate on updater services. So there are several situations where something may still charge. Recurring or card on file payments, network tokens still in play, previously authorized transactions, merchant-initiated transactions. So what if someone enters the cards or the card number, let's say, weeks later after it expired? What happens then, guys? What happens then? If someone takes the old card number and the old expiration date and manually enters them weeks after the card expires, normally the transaction should be declined. Manual new transaction should be declined. They enter, for example, a card number plus an expiration date, and the authorization request contains an expired expiration date, so the issuer would ordinarily decline it. Existing merchant cards on file, different situations. Merchant that already had the card may participate in an account updater program and receive updated credentials. In that case, a charge could succeed even though the merchant originally had expired the card. But the big question is, will an expired card on its own just work? And so that's a great question. No, an expired credit card on its own normally will not work for a new transaction. So no problem there. But there are ways of still getting the data from the different e-commerce systems that are still able to do like updates of cards and things like that. So I think that's a very big problem for everyone to realize. And I think we need to be concerned about, why this is happening, what's going on. But it's good that we're aware of this, right? Number 4, guys, Tesla and the massive China recall. So a massive vehicle recall in China has raised concerns about emergency door release systems, including vehicles from Tesla and other manufacturers, but Tesla's getting hit over the head right now. Modern cars increasingly replace mechanical controls with electrical ones. That can be elegant until electrical power, fails. Good engineering has to ask, what happens when the primary system fails? Safety, technology should remain understandable and usable during the exact moment when everything else is going wrong. And I think that's something that a lot of people are missing today. They don't understand why that's happening, but it's happening, guys. It's happening. Around 3 million vehicles in China were recalled over the problem involving the door handle safety and driver monitoring issue. So think about this for a second. Cars are becoming more software-driven, right? More automated and more dependent on electronic systems. But when something as basic as opening a door handle, the safety becomes part of the technology problem. Are we making cars smarter or simply more complicated? That's the real question. Would you trust a car if it had fewer electronic systems? I'm curious, guys. I really am curious about that whole conundrum. Okay, that's something that I'm really curious about. So number 5, guys, Meta's hardware kill switch patent. Meta has patented an idea involving hardware-based privacy controls for basically smart glasses. And I think that's something, again, that a lot of people don't really understand. And so what happens is that matters because there is a major difference, guys, a major difference and between software and telling you a camera is basically off and hardware physically preventing the sensor from operating. A patent does not guarantee the feature will become a product, but I like the direction they're going. If we're going to wear cameras and microphones on our faces, users should have strong, understandable privacy controls. I mean, that seems fair enough, right? But the question is, who has access to this data? I mean, that's probably the biggest thing I can tell you right now. Who has access to this data? Okay. So the big question I have is, would you trust smart glasses with a real kill switch? Smart glasses are getting more powerful, but there's always been one big question. How do you really know the camera and sensors are off? Meta has filed this patent for something interesting, a hardware-based privacy switch for devices like augmented reality glasses. We had people a while back offering all kinds of fees from $50 to several $100 or more to basically, let's say, disable the LED. Now they're saying that if anybody does disable the LED with the new update, which you have to get to use the glasses will become inoperable. So that's the question. Would a physical kill switch make you more comfortable wearing smart glasses, or do you still not trust them at all? I mean, I'm just curious, guys, if you let me know. Go ahead and, comment against these videos and let me know what you think. If you're not watching us live, that's fine. So let's jump on to number 6. Number 6, guys. Number 6. Number 6 is an interesting one. Our sleep tracker accuracy lawsuit. Yes, Aura, O-U-R-A. So Aura is facing allegations in a lawsuit involving sleep tracking accuracy. Those are allegations, not proof that the claims are true. But the larger lesson applies to all wearables. The wellness device can provide useful information without being perfect. Do not let one score on a screen become the complete authority over how you understand your body. If your body says you're tired, then take a rest. You don't need an app to tell you to take a rest. I hope not. Use the technology as information, not as absolute truth, because let's be clear, guys. A device can't know your body as well as you do. It might give you some data like this Lumen I have here. When you basically take it and you basically for so many seconds, and then you basically bow out for so many seconds. No, it's not a vape. It measures my oxygen level, okay? Oxygen, carbon dioxide level. If I have a low amount of carbon dioxide, I am burning fat. If I have a high amount of carbon dioxide, then I'm actually burning carbs only. Yeah, so these are interesting things that we can talk about and think about. But I think the question comes down to what's really happening in our world, right? We can trust things like Fitbit or MyFitnessPal, but should we put all of our eggs in the basket to believe in them? No, we should not do that at all. But I know people are like, oh, well, my technology says I got to go to sleep. Well, what do you feel? Are you tired? I don't know. My device says I should go to sleep. Yeah, listen to your body, though. I think that's an important thing. Okay. You know, everybody's talking about AI, right? And the thing about it is people don't get where things are going. And so when technology, whether it's AI or other systems, we can't trust them to make a human decision for us. We just can't, guys. We really can't. Number 7, flock safety and license plate surveillance. This is a big can of worms. So flock safety's plate readers can help law enforcement locate vehicles and investigate crimes. But the same technology creates serious questions about surveillance. Who can search the system? Why are they searching? Is access audited? How long is information retained? What happens when someone misuses it? So let's dive into some of those, shall we? So the first one is, typically, if you go to some of these lots, it could be like a Home Depot, it could be a Lowe's, Target. They're paying about $2,500 a year to have this camera, to lease it and have the service. You can't own the camera. It comes with the lease to use the cloud service. So I think that's a very interesting thing. Now, if you get in the camera's path and it grabs your license plate, it'll be in the system for 7 days, pending the fact that you're not on any hot list and not wanted for anything, all right? If you are on some type of wanted list, it could stay in there 3 years or longer because it's needed for court evidence. Now, powerful surveillance technology requires equally powerful safeguards, but they can lie, guys. They can lie about what is actually going on. They could put wrong case numbers in there. And I think these are big questions for a lot of people, that we can put this stuff in there and then we wonder why something is working a certain way. And they're lying about the technology, right? They are lying about it. So the secret about Flock, it's called Flock Safety. So Flock Safety is a very interesting company. So the important part is basically the network effect. A Flock camera captures a vehicle's plate, characteristics, time, and location. The information can then be shot over to authorized law enforcement users. Flock says the cameras do not collect facial recognition or driver identity, and that customers control their own data and sharing. They just click one button and decide if it gets shared to the police departments, and it could be going anywhere in the United States. Pretty soon it might be going internationally. But here's where it gets interesting. One police department's cameras don't necessarily function as an isolated system. Agencies can share access with other agencies. A Wired investigation published recently found that Alpharetta, Georgia, was sharing Flock data with more than 2,000 organizations while receiving access from more than 1,300. There have also been documented problems. San Francisco police found that its Flock ALPR network had been improperly searching nearly 300 times in the situation by outside agencies, including federal and out-of-state agencies. Now, police said the audit did not find searches related to immigration or reproductive rights in the investigation. They have even been stating that allegations of individual officers abusing technology to spy on their exes. There was a story in Massachusetts where an officer faced possible termination and criminal charges after allegedly conducting searches without a legitimate law enforcement purpose. The controversy has become large enough that Flock recently announced additional safeguards, including plans to reduce its default retention period from 30 days to 7. Now, they have said that it's 7. It is 30 from what I can understand right now, but that could change to 7. They're saying it's going to be 7. I haven't seen that change yet. Requiring searchers to be associated with case numbers and introduce tools designed to detect abnormal use. One claim is interesting, is that Flock gives ICE everyone's location. Now, Flock says it does not have a contract with ICE, and the ICE has no direct access by default. Now, Flock acknowledges previous pilots involving the CBP and Homeland Security investigations say individual communities control whether they permit federal access. So the question is, what's going on? Now, Flock Safety is very secretive in that they are hidden a few companies deep. This is kind of interesting, how they operate, what they do. And there's several corporate layers when you try to trace down the corporate contacts. And so Flock Safety is not itself the primary legal corporate name. Federal records have identified the company as Flock Group, Inc., doing business as Flock Safety. Flock's own legal documents likewise identify Flock Group, Inc. as the company and refer to its subsidiaries and, of course, affiliates. What I can't verify is the Schorger claim that Flock is intentionally hidden. a few companies deep. They're saying, I mean, there's been reporters that have said you can go to a construction company and that it's not that company, then it's a level deep. This is what we've heard in some stories. I've also heard and seen that they have tracked one company down. There was a group in New Jersey that tracked them down. And the funny thing is the security guard kept following to different companies. So this is interesting. What we can verify is that the public-facing name Flock Safety is not itself the primary legal corporate name. As I said, it's Flock Group, Inc., doing business as Flock Safety. So there's something potentially interesting here to investigate. Who owns the Flock Group? Who its subsidiaries and affiliates are? Which entities actually sign government contracts where the data infrastructure sits, and who ultimately has access to the information. Flock's newest security documentation, for example, says it exclusively uses Amazon Web Services. So that opens another Pandora's box for its data center facilities. And this isn't an obscure privacy debate anymore. As of recent, a U.S. Senate Judiciary Subcommittee has opened an investigation to Flock's collection, retention, and dissemination of surveillance data. If you remember, a specific chain of 3 or 4 companies behind Flock can give you one of the company names you may remember. Now, tracing corporate registrations and ownership can be rather complicated and pretty muddy in the guesswork. But I think the interesting thing is that what to know about Flock. So Flock is typically, who is installing Flock? So we're talking about places like Home Depot. We're talking about Lowe's. And so Flock itself is responsible for the installation program, but there's an important distinction about who may physically perform the work. So Flock's current documentation says Flock Safety takes care of the installation, and the Flock installs and maintains the cameras. Now, government contracting documents describe Flock's field operations team as responsible for the physical installation and maintenance, consisting of technicians, schedulers, and other personnel. Now, Flock's implementation guide also says Flock conducts the site survey, coordinates the 811 utility marking process, schedules installation, and installs the device for AC-powered installations. However, the customer may have to hire a licensed electrician to provide and connect 120-volt power. All the ones I've seen have all been powered by solar. So your question might be, are Flock employees actually the people putting every camera in the ground? The public documentation doesn't establish that every technician is a direct Flock employee. Flock manages the deployment, but there are outside electrical work and potentially field contractors. So subcontracting is very high when it comes to Flock. And so I think it gets into a very interesting, let's say, spot about what Flock's doing and what they're not doing. So how do you recognize a Flock camera? Let's share that with you. So first of all, it's usually a black pole. You can also notice that it has a, let's say, a solar panel on top of it. And the side that the solar panel usually is facing is the side that is not the side the camera is currently tracking. So the cameras are on all the time, and when they sense motion, they basically are enabled. So the big question, a lot of people say this, and this is the question is, so they are on basically all the time, but motion will trip for basically X seconds. And so camera can remain powered 24 hours a day. And the Flock's Falcon ALPR camera, the primary function is event-based capture. So when a vehicle passes through the camera's field of view, the system captures imagery and analyzes attributes such as the license plate and vehicle characteristics. Flock describes its Falcon as capturing vehicles rather than functioning as a traditional continuously recording surveillance camera. So it is not a video camera. It's more of a device that's taking still pictures. So vehicle enters detection area, triggers a capture, image and data associated with the vehicle recorded and its process. Traditional nonstop video recording, it's not necessarily the makeup for most of the cameras. Flock also sells other camera products with different video capabilities, so we're not going to rule out that they have that. If we're talking about the Falcon or Falcon 2 license plate reader, basically we can verify exactly what triggers it, how many seconds it captures. It captures when it records before and after the trigger, and how long Flock retains its piece of data is still kind of speculation, as we were saying. So the thing is, they're using AI to process this data. My question is, what are they doing with the data? Who has access to it? So there's a lot of interesting questions about the data. Number 8, guys, Windows 11 and the gaming problems from RGB lighting. So gamers, this one is interesting. I'm sure you're going to love this one. Software and drivers connected to RGB lighting hardware have been associated with Windows 11 gaming problems. What a surprise. So yes, guys, the software controlling the lights inside your PC can potentially affect system stability. Modern computers run layers of drivers and utilities. When troubleshooting, do not always blame the obvious component. Sometimes the innocent-looking software running in the background is doing far more than you actually realize. And so, yeah, anytime something is loaded, we have to be aware of what it is doing. So I think that's a very important thing. Harvard is using AI avatars right now, another story of instructors. This is one I think that's very, very interesting. And so Harvard Business School has used AI avatars of instructors in part of an entrepreneurship program. And there's real potential, ladies and gentlemen. Students can practice scenarios repeatedly and receive feedback without requiring an instructor to personally conduct every exercise. But education is more than information delivery, right? Great instructors understand context, challenge assumptions, and they recognize what a student may not say directly. So AI should expand education, right? I think that's an important piece. Not quietly remove the human mentorship that makes education valuable. Let's dive into Amazon, guys. Number 10, Amazon drone delivery is expanding. Yes. Amazon wants to dramatically expand drone delivery into hundreds of communities. The idea of receiving a package from the sky in around 30 minutes, it's impressive, but scaling drone delivery means some interesting things, including dealing with safety, weather, noise, privacy, airspace, property, and numerous regulations. So the question is not simply whether a drone can deliver a package. It is whether the system can work reliably at a large scale without creating, well, more problems. And AI is something that's going to be obviously brought into shape with this. And now Amazon is doing more things. Now, we all know that Amazon does a lot of stuff, but I'll be honest, they do a lot of stuff wrong. And so my big question is, how is this going to work? Right? How is this going to work? And they're going to put people behind this that have no clue what they're doing, unfortunately. And people are going to get upset. The big question is, are people going to need to buy umbrella insurance? Right now, it's said that you do not have to. It's the operator and the carrier that's managing the drones that is responsible. So the story is bigger than just Amazon is testing a few drones. Amazon announced just last week that it intends to expand Prime Air to, as I said, 500 U.S. cities and towns by the end of 2026, reaching tens of millions of customers. It currently operates from only 11 U.S. locations, so Amazon describes this as roughly a 6-fold expansion of its geographic footprint. It could introduce more problems to the mix. So Amazon wants drone delivery in nearly 500 cities, and Amazon wants packages arriving in as little as 30 minutes. The company says millions of products can qualify, including groceries, electronics, cosmetics, medications, and household products. Items generally need to weigh 5 pounds or less and fit within roughly a shoebox. Amazon also says that this makes it more than 60% of its most frequently purchased items potentially that will be eligible for the service, thus saving them time and money on shipment. So the question is this. These are autonomous aircraft. Amazon's current MK30 uses cameras and sensors, plus it detects and is designed to avoid things to monitor its surroundings to make flight decisions. The drone travels to the customer's selected delivery location, checks the area for people, pets, vehicles, and other obstacles, then descends and releases the package. Now, they aren't landing anymore. Earlier, Prime Air designed to land to deliver package. The MK30 instead hovers a few feet above the delivery location and drops the package. And that has already produced an incredible example. So for now, an Amazon drone recently dropped a customer's package directly into, let's say, this lady's swimming pool in Texas. The incident was captured on video and went viral at almost exactly the same time Amazon announced a huge expansion. So there are also legitimate safety questions in 2025. 2 Amazon drones collided with the boom of a crane in Arizona. Reuters reported that the NTSB investigation into the incident remains underway. And then there's noise. Amazon says the delivery noise lasts roughly 20 to 30 seconds and is below the level of an idling delivery truck or lawnmower. But residents in existing deployment areas have complained about the distinctive buzzing sound, and Amazon has adjusted flight heights and routes in response to some community concerns. So this is going to become an ongoing issue. This is not going away overnight. So there are privacy concerns here. The drones necessarily have onboard cameras and sensors because they have to navigate autonomously, recognize obstacles, determine whether a delivery area is clear, no people, no pets, etc. Amazon says these cameras are being used for navigation and safety rather than surveillance. Do I believe them? Probably not. And the scale is what makes the story even more interesting. Amazon currently lists prime air operations around Phoenix, Tampa, Kansas City, Omaha, Baton Rouge, Detroit, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, and Waco. It says Chicago, Syracuse, Cleveland, Atlanta, and Boise are among the metros coming next. So they're trying to pick areas where they have lots of area to land. They don't want to just, come into a metro city like New York City. That would kind of be a disaster for it now. Not saying they won't do that in the future. So Amazon wants drone delivery in nearly 500 U.S. cities and towns by the end of 2026. Interesting, right? Would you use drone delivery? That's my question. And Amazon wants autonomous drones flying over hundreds of American communities to deliver packages in 30 minutes. Is that the future you want, flying over your neighborhood? I don't think I do. So it's going to give you speed, autonomous AI, cameras, privacy, noise, accidents, jobs, regulation, and this is pretty powerful, guys. So the question is, do I need insurance for this? This has been the big, big question. So right now, no. Amazon is the aircraft operator. Prime Air actually is an FAA certified Part 135 air carrier, meaning Amazon is operating the commercial aircraft, not you. So you select a delivery point on your property, and Amazon's MK30 descends to about 13 feet, checks that the area is clear of people, pets, vehicles, and obstacles, and then releases the package. If you're thinking about liability, though, that's an interesting question. Suppose an Amazon drone malfunctions and damages your roof, vehicle, landscaping, or injures somebody on your property. That does not automatically make your liability simply because you requested the delivery. Amazon is operating the aircraft. But let's be careful. Let's keep it in ordinary boundaries of homeowners and renters, liability, property coverage. But I would not purchase a special drone policy because Amazon starts delivering packages to your home, unless your insurer specifically tells you your circumstances require something different. And trust me, once they have enough cases, they're going to make you buy an umbrella policy. This is how this works. So when an 83-pound Amazon drone fuels over your house and flies over and potentially hits something, who pays if something goes wrong? 83.2 pounds. So we're digging a little bit, isn't it? So what happens if that crashes into your house? What happens? Who pays for it? It would not simply be expected to absorb the loss. This is number one. So Amazon, actually, if it crashes in your house, it would not simply be expected. Amazon Prime Air is operating this aircraft as an FAA Part 135. Federal rules require U.S. direct air carriers to maintain aircraft accident liability coverage, including coverage for damage to other people's property arising from aircraft operations. So assuming the Amazon drone caused the damage, the practical sequence would generally be document everything with photos and video. Do not disturb the aircraft unnecessarily. contact Amazon Prime Air, which we know how hard that would be. Can't even get live people on the phone from the United States. Contact your homeowner's insurer and report the incident to local authorities. The FAA specifically tells homeowners to call local law enforcement when someone else's drone crashes into their yard, injures someone, or damages property. Law enforcement can involve the FAA when it's appropriate. So we're talking about substantial aircraft here, the Amazon MK30. We're not talking about a little toy. As a maximum takeoff weight of 83.2 pounds, and this according to the FAA's environmental documents, it cruises at more than 60 miles per hour. So that could do some damage if it hits something. Although Amazon has multiple automated systems intending to prevent a collision and basically say it's not going to happen, that doesn't mean it won't happen. The interesting question is, who pays first? Depending on the circumstances, your policy, your homeowner insurer, could potentially handle covered damage and then pursue the responsible party through subrogation, or a liability claim be pursued against the drone operator. Exactly how liability gets allocated would depend on the accident and applicable laws. So this will give you some kind of idea, but an 83-pound drone crashing into your roof, who gets the bill? And there's the deeper question. What if the drone wasn't delivering to you at all and was merely flying over your property on its way to deliver to someone else's house? That's where this expansion starts to raise some real liability questions that I think we've got to pay attention to. Number 11, guys, Google's $29 AirTag competitor. Google is now entering the tracker market with a device priced around $29. Watch out, Apple. Trackers are incredibly useful for luggage, keys, backpacks, and other belongings, but every tracking technology has two sides. Of course, you knew that. The same capability that helps you find your property can potentially be abused to follow someone without permission. Companies should compete not only on price and precision, but also on unwanted tracking protections. But I think this just becomes a real mess as we move on. So the $20 tracker, Google's coming after AirTag is what I kind of see. And the question is, who's going to be not cheaper, but who's going to have the more accountable technology? So if something goes wrong, who do we go after? Right? I think that's really the best thing. Who do we go after? And if we can't go after somebody, then I think we've got a real big problem that somebody is going to have to handle, right? Number 12, what your printer knows about you. It knows a lot. Some printers can leave tiny tracking patterns on printed packages, something many users would never notice. This is really fascinating because most people think privacy concerns stop when something leaves the screen and becomes paper. Not every printer behaves the same way, but the lesson is bigger technology can leave traces in places we do not normally think to look. But what does all this really mean? Is this hype? No, I mean, it's true. Okay, so what is the bigger story, I guess you'd want to say about this? It gets a little complicated, so I'll try to shorten it for you. Your office printer may contain copies of what you printed. This is the part many people generally do not realize. Modern multifunction printers and copiers are essentially specialized computers. Many contain internal storage used for printing, scanning, copying, faxing, and docket workflows. On more commercial printers, they have a piece of software that runs to actually securely erase the drive every so many hours. The FTC specifically warns that a digital copier's hard drive can store information from documents it copies, prints, scans, fax, or emails. If that storage isn't properly protected or erased, like I said, information potentially can be recovered from it. Think about what passes through a business copier: tax returns, bank statements, employee records, contracts, medical information, customer information, invoices, driver's licenses, checks, credit cards, confidential correspondence. Then the company leases the copier for 5 years and sends it back. Do they really make sure the data is wiped before they send it back, or are they in real trouble? Where does that hard drive go? Well, back to the leasing company. Some printers have actually put identifying codes onto the paper, and this is the killer part that you need to pay attention to. Research by Electronic Frontier Foundation documented microscopic yellow tracking dots produced by numerous color laser printers. You normally wouldn't notice them. They're extremely small and difficult to see under normally white light. But researchers successfully decoded the markings produced by a certain Xerox DocuColor printer and what those dots contain. This is the interesting point. So this is the only thing. Year, month, day, hour, minute. Right? Does that make sense or no? I mean, I'm just saying, does it make sense to you or not? I think that's an important thing for us to realize. What's going on, but I think that's something hard for a lot of people, to recognize. Right? Does that make sense? Or no? I'm just asking. Right? So that's the most important thing that I can actually share with you is that whole concept. So that's the key. Year, month, day, hour, minute. Meaning a piece of paper could potentially reveal which printer produced it and when it was printed. That's amazing, right? You see a piece of paper, a forensic investigator may see information about the machine that printed it. One important qualification is that everybody doesn't see this. EFF documents the technology across numerous color laser printers, but implementations may vary, and its detailed decoding research is old. The EFF itself cautions that absence of visual yellow dots doesn't prove a printer has no other forensic marking mechanisms. So your printer is another computer. It's basically sitting on your network in case you were wondering what it was doing, okay? So a network multifunction printer can have web administration, user accounts, address books, scanned email settings, network credentials, stored jobs, firmware, remote management, internal storage, print logs, and audit information. Your business sometimes installs one and gives it an IP address, and essentially you forget that they've added another computing device to the network. The FTC actually recommends treating digital copiers as computers or servers from an information security perspective. Now, here's the big part. You have to understand why your printer knows more than you actually think. I think this is the real crux that I want to share with you. You probably worry about what your phone knows about you. You probably worry about what Google knows about you. But when was the last time you worried about your printer? So it may store your documents. It may maintain information. It may even share where it was printed. Who knows? It might even share the geolocation or even your IP address. So when your company replaces its copier, what happens to the hard drive containing years of documents? You should make sure that that drive is destroyed. Because if you don't, it might come back to haunt you. Number 13, guys, what incognito mode really hides? I think this is a misnomer. Obviously, use incognito mode and you'll be protected. Wrong. Incognito mode does not make you anonymous online. Just saying, guys. Private browsing mainly helps prevent certain browsing information from remaining on your local device after the session. That does not automatically make your activity invisible to websites, network administrators, employers, schools, or internet providers. Private browsing is useful, okay? But anonymous are not the same thing. So I think a lot of people get confused with what the heck incognito means. Sure, you hear it, but what does it really mean? What does it really mean? Because I think a lot of people don't know, what does it really mean? And I think you wouldn't know unless you had an issue, right? You would not know. So whether you're talking about Chrome, Firefox, Safari, it doesn't matter. So the thing is, don't leave the normal browsing history from the session on the device after you close the private session. It does not mean make me anonymous. It just means remove the cookies. The biggest misconception is thinking incognito creates some kind of invisible tunnel. It's not a VPN. When you use private browsing, you browse generally and you avoid retaining your browsing history, cookies, and the site data after the private session ends. And information entered into the forms, downloads, and bookmarks you deliberately save remain on the computer. But while you're browsing websites, they can still receive your IP address and other connection information. Your internet provider can still potentially determine which services or domains you're connecting to. So, regular browser, visit a website, close a browser, history may remain. Incognito, visit a website, close incognito window, local browsing history from the session isn't retained at all. So private mode doesn't magically erase the external network. This is another important wrinkle, DNS. Your computer needs to translate names such as Amazon or any other website, CNN, into an IP address. Depending on your network configuration and whether encrypted DNS is being used, how DNS requests and potentially provides another source of information about destinations being accessed is really a different issue. So, our last story for tonight. Number 14, phone number theft without touching your phone. Someone does not necessarily need your physical smartphone to take control of your phone number. How do they do this? SIM swapping and port out fraud can involve criminals, bad actors manipulating carrier processes so your number is moved somewhere else. They can even order a phone in your name and activate it on another line, and you're paying for, well, the device. Your phone can still be sitting in your hand while another person begins receiving communications intended for you. That becomes especially dangerous when accounts depend on SMS codes. Where possible, stronger authentication such as authenticator apps, passkeys, or hardware security keys can reduce that risk. So as I get ready to close the show for today, a big whirlwind, isn't it? we went through a lot of stuff today. And I hope that this stuff didn't scare you, but at least maybe woke you up to, what's going on in life. What should I be aware of? I think that is probably one of the biggest things that I can say to you. And if you don't do that, you can have problems. So we went through 14 stories. So 7 were reels. That's how we do it. Basically, we do Monday through Sunday. Those were the first 7. And then the other 7 was additional information I thought you would find interesting. So 14 stories, but one message connects them all. Technology is doing far more than what you see on the screen. Behind our devices are sensors, algorithms, databases, cloud services, drivers, cameras, authentication systems, and policies controlling who can access the information those systems create. Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm also an engineer, and I love technology, okay? But loving technology does not mean blindly trusting it. Let me be clear about that. It means asking better questions. What information is being collected? Who can access my data? What happens when the system fails? Can automated decision be reviewed? Can the camera or microphone truly be turned on or off without my permission? What happens when the company changes the service? Look what happened with Acura, right? They decided to just get rid of 3 services just because, well, we're making the app more simplistic. Yeah, if you believe that one, I'll tell you a whole bunch more. And what are you actually giving up in exchange for convenience? I think that's a question that a lot of people today don't understand. Not because they don't want to understand it, but because it's something that they basically don't get involved in enough. People say, I'm not technical. We don't need to be technical to ask questions about where your data is going, right? Whether you're in a medical office or whether you're connecting to a Wi-Fi. Where's my data going? How is the data being encrypted? You can ask basic questions. So we're moving toward AI, artificial intelligence, automation, connected vehicles, wearables, drones, okay? We're moving toward trackers and smart devices. This is not new for anybody, okay? The answer is not to become paranoid. I know a lot of us like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to use the technology. I did the wrong thing. I was talking to somebody a while back, and I told them that they needed to encrypt their PDF when they sent it via email. It had personal information like bank information, social security information. And I said, you need to encrypt that information. How do I do that? Well, there's free utilities, or you could buy a paid one. And the person got all annoyed. Like, I don't want to use technology anymore. I said, well, no, it's not a question of not using technology anymore. It's a question of learning how to use it properly. The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is to become informed. And again, I know you say, well, I don't have time for that. But when it affects your privacy, your safety, whether you choose to do this or not, it's still going to be in the world. So you may say, I hate technology, but if you're in our world, you still got to play by the rules, unfortunately, guys. So technology at its core should work for us, okay? Not quietly make decisions we do not understand. You put something in ChatGPT or another engine, and suddenly it decides to do something. I didn't ask you for that. You're right. That was my bad. I tried to help. Like, it needs to stay in its lane. I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of AI and chatbots. They try to go above what you're asking for. And that's a serious, serious problem, guys. I'm just being honest. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student at Montclair State University, and so grateful to be a passionate, lifelong learner. And you have been listening or watching the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show, where I share technology in the world about things you need to be aware of, things many of the manufacturers don't want you to know, things that will protect your safety, and things that will actually help you live a better, more productive life. I invite you guys to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. You can also check out my brand new show called A Day in the Life with John, which is on jcmacademy.com under my shows. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I invite you all to stay curious, to stay informed, to ask better questions. And remember this, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? The technology you do not see with your eyes is the technology you most need to understand. How your data is moving from one place to another. And who's involved with that data? Who's responsible for it? I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and weekend. And I'll catch you guys next month on a brand new Jay Moore Tech Talk Show. Have a great one. Be smart, be safe, and use technology wisely.